Hello everyone, welcome back to SwitchUp and to our Addictive Games series. We're going to have a look at 10 titles that are available on Switch 1 and some on Switch 2 and some on both and tell you why basically we couldn't stop playing them.
Yeah, we've got 10 games here as Mark mentioned from a mix of the Switch 1 and the Switch 2, and do feel free to let us know of any games that you find incredibly addictive for whatever reason. Stick them all in the comment section below.
If you want to save some money, you can use our website switchup.gg where you get 5% in cashback, so you can save a little bit of money on any of these purchases. All right, what are the 10 addictive games that we're going to look at today? Well, let's find out. The first game then is a Switch 2 title, available on Switch 2, and it's Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess. This is a very interesting take on the roguelite, whereby the path that you're creating for the goddess sees her purify an area of each level, and then if you can do that, that then gets unlocked for like a village simulation.
Yeah, it's described as an action strategy game, and I think that's a good mix of two very addictive genres in my opinion, and it's a game that does work very well in terms of exactly how it all comes together. We do have a full review of this one if you want the exact story of how it plays on the Switch 2, but yeah, this was one of those nice surprises from that initial launch of Switch 2 games.
It was, but it was also like almost went under the radar, didn't it? Straight away, you didn't see much coverage, not much fanfare, and then when we played it, it was like, wow, okay, you have a search online and it's got such a following.
Yeah, it's one of those if you know games, and people that did know were very happy to see it come in, and hopefully now more people will know about it because of this list.
Next up, we've got a Switch 1 title that you can play on Switch 2, albeit there is one issue that I'll talk about. That's Wartales. I don't know why it's taken me so long to get into this game, but my goodness, it's amazing. It's a top-down hybrid TRPG. On the one hand, you're moving your group of mercenaries in real time. And you go to towns, take on jobs, you can add to those mercenaries. But you have to give each of them a job. So one of them would be like a blacksmith, one of them would be a scholar, and then that's how you can then improve your band and your gear and stuff. The formula is fantastic. Like there's a warrant system. You can become an outlaw, and I mean, I was an outlaw a couple of times, you know, and then that attributes a number to your band, gives you like a renown within the area. So some people will treat you really like reverently, you know, they're like, oh flip, it's them.
Yeah.
It's Glen's posse or whatever, you know, like, and that then opens up options for different missions. But it's like region locked. So you build up your renown in an area to a point where you can then get like a travel pass, and then you can move to the next. But there are no loading screens for that.
Nice.
And you go into combat instances, and then it turns into a classic TRPG. But what's nice about it is you have to manage things like your food.
Yes.
So you remember like the Oregon Trail and the Banner Saga titles.
Oh yeah.
You have to really be careful about the amount of food and water and things you've got, because you have this stamina bar. So as you move across the world, that drops, and then you have to go into a camp, and you have to camp in a safe place because there's a percentage chance that you'll be ambushed and stuff like that. And just keep that cycle going, and man, it's just incredibly good, well-made game. The only problem is on Switch 2, it has this memory leak. It's probably there on Switch 1, you know, and I obviously didn't play much of the Switch 1 version.
Yeah.
It just means that every 2 hours, the game will crash and you'll have to go back in.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
It's one of those. It seems like a massive issue, and I guess it is. But I've played 25 hours now on Switch 2, so I've obviously managed to deal with it. But
Yeah.
worth knowing about before you go buying it, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So it can be circumnavigated. It's just whether you want to buy a game that you need to do that with. But if it still sounds fun, and as Mark said, he's put a bunch of hours into it, that's Wartales.
Next up, we've got Rune Factory, Guardians of Azuma. Now, you're a massive Rune Factory fan, aren't you?
Yeah, I like the Rune Factory series, Story of Seasons as well. You know, those sort of games. The Rune Factory games, what I've always loved about them is the way they take the farming element and then fuse it with a more combat side.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it's a happy fusion where the two work very well together, and that's the case with this one, isn't it?
It really is, and this is the first of our games that's available fully on both platforms.
Yep.
So this can be played absolutely fine on Switch 1, performance no problem. On Switch 2, just double the frame rate basically at 60 frames per second. But as Glenn said, you have that fusion, and it does it in an interesting way where each of your villages is tied to the season rather than the seasons themselves.
Yeah, I like that, because one of my favourite of these from a very nostalgic position is Friends of Mineral Town. The problem with that was when you got to winter, there was sweet FA to do, and you just had to trudge through each day. So it's nice to see them finding a way of getting around that almost.
Rune Factory has mouse mode controls if you're on Switch 2, so you can do the farming bits like that, which is a nice touch actually. It does feel better like that. Good game. We do have a full review of both versions on the channel.
Next then we have XCOM 2, another one that comes with a caveat, but we'll get to that in a minute. But in terms of the core gameplay, again, another tactical RPG, isn't it?
It is, and I've had a renaissance of tactical RPGs.
Yeah.
In the last couple of weeks, obviously I've just come back from a holiday, I'm about to go away on holiday again. These are the types of games that I like to play for fun.
Yes.
You know, I just sit down, do a couple of fights, manage your units and things. And XCOM, there's not really a game, in my opinion, that does it better. It's just got such a good formula. On Switch 1, you will have a few performance issues. As Glenn mentioned, this is the caveat. Switch 1, long loading times. In combat, it's okay. I don't really find performance is my main concern in a TRPG.
Yeah.
Just in general. But on Switch 2, the whole thing runs at 60 frames per second, almost flawlessly. It's such a nice experience. But then you got this weird thing where the performance after about an hour and a half, 2 hours will suddenly drop to 10 frames per second until you reload the game.
Right, so again, it's the same as we said with Wartales, wasn't it? Just be aware of the issue. Yeah, it's funny because for the most part, this isn't a game I would consider addictive necessarily, but I say that and then remember the fact that I got incredibly addicted to Fire Emblem Engage, which is of course a tactical RPG as well. So I can certainly see the appeal and how it would be classed as addictive.
In fifth, we've got a Switch 2 exclusive, and it's Wild Hearts S, which is basically Monster Hunter with a different skin. I think this was like EA's take on Monster Hunter.
Yeah, just to clarify, by Switch 2 exclusive, we mean as in you can't play it on the Switch 1.
Correct, yeah.
Not it's exclusive to the Switch 2, just in case you're confused.
Yeah, so this one has a more open world environment that sees you setting up bases and using a skill that allows you to spawn things like campsites and other resource areas for crafting, and then you move out on your quests. So it has a slightly different flow, but when you get down to the brass tacks, the combat feels very much like Monster Hunter. I will say the Switch 2 version has a few visual issues. It looks pretty crap, to be honest. Like I say this in a way, like they've opted not to use some of the Switch 2's biggest kind of graphical features, something called DLSS, that can mean you can render at a low resolution, but it still looks pucker.
Yes.
They made their own version and it looks
a bit naff.
A little bit naff, that way of putting it.
Yeah, I think this is one of those for me where, not to sound rude, I guess, but it's one of those games where I'll play it for a little while and it will make me realise how much I want a Switch 2 Monster Hunter, rather than make me fall in love with this game.
Right.
But it will scratch an itch for now.
Exactly.
You know?
In sixth, we've got Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S, or S2, one of those.
2S, yeah, that's right. So this is a game that was on the Switch 1, and obviously this one has some extra features, hence the S. I'm not quite sure why the S, but hence the S.
Super.
Yeah, super, there we go. It's Puyo Puyo and it's Tetris, and it's both at times as well. So if you like either of those franchises in terms of their puzzling, then this will be a great pickup. I'm more for Tetris myself,
for sure,
Puyo Puyo, but I can see how both would be incredibly addictive, that one more go feeling that you get. And it is fun to mix it up if you're playing with someone that's particularly strong with the other game, and you can kind of have one of each or have it switch. It's certainly a lot of fun. It does have a story mode, which is a bit odd for a puzzler. But bit superfluous if you ask me, but it's there. But yeah, no, that core gameplay is great fun if you like those franchises.
Yeah, it has to be said, Tetris has got to be one of the most addictive games ever, hasn't it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, fantastic game, still going strong to this day.
Next up, we've got Risk of Rain 2, which has Switch 1 version that runs fantastically on Switch 2. So this is, play it anywhere, no caveat on this one. It's just good across the board. Even the Switch 1 version now I tested, it's like, wow, okay, that's so much better.
Yeah, that's had a few patches, so you can play it, as Mark said, on eval without any real worries.
What is it then?
Okay, so it's a roguelite, third-person action game, I guess, where you're going on runs and taking out enemies, getting new weapons and trying to get to the end of a stage and move on to another. It's prequel, or it's the first game in this series, I should probably say. Risk of Rain is almost the exact same game but played from a 2D perspective, and It's really interesting how they took that core gameplay mechanic and transformed it into a 3D game. They're both great. I actually prefer the first one, just personal tastes, but they're just quite fascinating games to play, especially if you've played both, to see how it translates across.
They are. There's a bit of a learning curve because in the stage, like, enemies will just keep coming and you have to reach like your spaceship and blast off, something like that. But when I first got into it, I just stood around shooting things like, hang on, they keep coming.
Yeah.
What am I missing here? But once you get to grips with it, things like the gyro controls work really well. And it is a very addictive game that you can play in co-op as well with a friend. So yeah, enjoy this one a lot. Very addictive. That's Risk of Rain 2.
Okay, the 8th game on the list then is The Wandering Village, which was a new release on the Switch 1, but of course you can play it on the Switch 2 too.
And has a really nice combination of elements again.
Yeah.
You actually create like this massive behemoth. Am I saying that right for once?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's on the back of it where your village is built.
Yeah.
I guess. And it's walking across the environment. You can kind of tailor that initial difficulty based on, the kinds of things that you'll encounter along the way. But I just love that idea, this huge creature walking along, you gradually building up your village in a very Sims or Settlers style on its back.
Yeah.
And it just works very nicely.
Yeah, I'd say I can't stop thinking about Stephen King's It when I see this game, and that's going to sound so odd. You can be like, what, Pennywise the Clown, where's that come from? But because the lore in that book is that the world is perched on the top of like a giant turtle. So obviously every time I see this big creature with a world built on it, it just makes me think of it. Yeah, I can't get that out of my head.
Was Stephen King a Terry Pratchett fan? Because that's basically Discworld.
I'd have to know which came first.
Yeah, I feel like Terry Pratchett would have come first, but I don't know. When was Stephen King? Maybe they're about the same. Maybe they're pals. Maybe they're down the pub. He's like, all right,
just retelling
all right,
stories.
Steve, check this out.
Yeah, writing notes together, the boys.
In 9th, we've got a free game, so completely free of charge. It's Warframe, and I revisited it the other day, just have a go, because my son wanted a game that he could play, and you know what kids are like. They constantly want to spend money.
Yeah.
But if there's something that, they could enjoy that's free, happy days. And Warframe's definitely that. It's like a third-person action game where you shoot in, you've got like a ninja katana, lots of online missions, lots of online elements, but you really don't have to spend any money. It's one of the few, You can craft your own weapons and gear, you have a ship that you use. What's quite cool, bit, again, superfluous, good word, is when you go into levels together, you can see their ship. And like if they're moving it around and doing silly things, you can see it,
Oh, okay.
So there was me going in a dead straight line and him doing like barrel rolls the whole time. A good game. I'd recommend it if you've not tried it. Certainly you can pick it up still. And there's not stupidly high level players everywhere, there's still some new players.
Nice, that's good to know, because it can be quite off-putting otherwise, can't it?
It really can.
And the final game for this list then, a classic really, we've got Vampire Survivors, which just in this last week alone, I have sunk a crazy amount of hours into, albeit I must say on the PS4, because I finished it on the Switch and then bought it on the PS4 just to try and basically do the same thing again, but get achievements this time for it.
I mean, that is if you needed a, I don't know what the word is, you know, an endorsement.
Yeah.
It's the fact that you were willing to replay the entirety of the game.
Yeah.
Just to get the achievements.
Yeah, because it's great fun and they just come so naturally on that platform. But on the Switch, being able to play it in handheld mode as well is amazing. It's another roguelike where you go on runs and try to take down or survive huge amounts of enemies. You've got like a 30-minute time limit to get through, and you'll pick up weapons as you go. But the interesting thing about it, after you get past that surface level playtime, is when you start to fuse the weapons together and make stronger weapons.
Yeah.
And you think about the types of weapons that you need to get through 30 minutes, because by the end of that time, the amount of enemies on screen is outrageous.
Yeah, really nice upgrade. If you're playing on Switch 2 as well, it does still have a couple of drops. Like, it's not solid 60 all the time, but it is smoother. So, yeah, but it was fine on Switch 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and it's very cheap. It's £3.99 for the, yeah, it's crazy cheap for the base game. And there's a bunch of DLC as well. Some of it specific to Vampire Survivors, some of it with other IPs such as Castlevania, and what's the other one called? Among Us, thank you. Sorry, yeah, so if you're interested in that as well, just have a look on the eShop at the different options available. But this is one of my favourite games of all time. And considering I played it for the first time about, I don't know, a year ago, maybe?
Yep.
It has shot up a very established list in a short space of time, relatively speaking.
One of your favourite games of all time?
It is indeed, yeah.
What absolute legend recommended you should play that one?
I can't remember. Who was it? Was it my mate Dave?
No.
Oh, was it you?
Oh,
yeah.
You know.
Thanks very much.
And what you should have done, right, you should have used our website to save 5% in cashback.
I should have done. I bought it on the PS4.
Is there a physical?
No. Shame.
Could have got that link in, couldn't I? What link could I have got in?
I mean, if you want to save, or if you want to earn 5% in cashback on that £3.99 purchase, SwitchUp.gg.
Wow.
It's got you covered.
Nice. So that's it. That's 10 very good, very addictive games, most of which are playable on both devices, but it's fair to say there are a few ones there that are Switch 2 only. Yeah, let us know in the comments what your favourites are.
Yeah, we mentioned the link down there in jest, but if you do want to save a bit of money, or at least earn some money in cashback on your Switch purchases, then do use our website and get your eShop cards from there, switchup.gg, as I said. You get 5% back in cashback, and there's a link down there to PlayAsia if you want to import any games, and again, if you use our link and code, you'll save some money there too. Thanks to our patrons and our channel members. Take care and happy gaming.